So today with our project, we are going to use square wire. I put the suggested size square wire in the list, but you can choose smaller or bigger, and you can even combine different sizes of square wire and have different heights and levels and all of that. So this is a project as far as the square wire sizes and granulation that we're going to use. You can choose your sizes. Now when we get to the stone setting part, that's going to be a little more detailed. It's going to be a little bit more precise, but these earrings and pendant you can make as large or as small as you want. I know some of you like much more feminine and tiny earrings and things of that nature. So modify this design to fit what you like. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to anneal our wire. Now you'll notice here that I've got a piece of brass wire, not silver wire, but I'm only using this for demo purposes. In making the sample pieces, I made up more than enough rings, so rather than just cut more, I decided I would demonstrate part of this with brass wire. So I'm going to anneal the brass wire. Now you'll be annealing your silver wire, but you will need to anneal it. It will be much easier to wrap around a mandrel. Your silver wire will also anneal much faster. And if you're seeing the rainbow effect, as I am, that tells me that my wire is annealed. Now because this is brass, I can go ahead and pick it up and quench it. As you can see, this is a little bit wonky and a little bit twisted. So I wanted to show you a trick here to straighten wire. So first of all, if you see like a bump there, if you will take your half round pliers and if you will set the flat part in the indentation and then you will press, you see how it just straightens out? Let's find another one. Here's another one. If you'll place the flat part in the indentation with the round part against the bump, you'll see that it straightens right out. Now you're going to make multiple sizes of rings, and I just think there's more variety and it looks nicer with variety. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your round nose pliers, and I think starting up here at the top, the thing with square wire and wrapping it is that you need to make sure that it does not twist on you. And if this time you leave the tail at the top, we can wind it all the way down and get multiple sizes. This time we're not trying to feed it off and keep one size. This is very hard to do with brass wire. It will be easy with your annealed silver wire. And you can see there it is twisting on me. If it starts to twist on you, take flat nose pliers and simply bend it around, flat again. Okay. Now I didn't get a bunch of smaller sizes with this one because this brass wire is so incredibly hard. Now while it is like that, if you will put a sanding disc in your flex shaft or your Dremel, you can go ahead while it's all in a coil like this and you can sand it and sand out the tool marks. So if you'll see right there, there are tool marks. So while it's in a coil, it'll be much easier to just go ahead and sand those out. You can do that once you've cut it apart, but it's so much easier this way. Okay, now we're going to saw this apart. Now, I also made some rings, some silver rings. Using this mandrel on my bail pliers. So not only did I use the round nose pliers, I also used the small mandrel. Now you can make some even bigger if you like, if that's what you think would be pretty with your design. I'm going to give you free rein on that to make them as you would like. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut them apart. And I'm going to just leave a little tail here. You've seen me do this before. I'm going to bend that tail at a 90-degree angle, just like that. He may be too big to sit in there. He is. I'm just going to hold that. I'm going to put that in there. It's going to anchor against that. It's going to anchor against that and I'll be able to saw it out. It'll give me some stability. As you feel your rings releasing, you can stop and pull them off. As you can feel yourself getting closer to the last one, you may want to go slower. That way if your saw pops through, it won't pop your finger, hopefully. And there we go. Now, if I wanted to, I could take these brass rings and incorporate them into the design. But I would have to solder them. They would not fuse. And that is one of the beauties of this project, is we're going to fuse it. It is argentium. And so I'd rather not have to solder until or unless we need to. Here we have a big, fat, tiny little ring. So, I want you to make your rings, form them around your mandrel. You could even use a dowel rod too, if that is something that you'd like to do. I use dowel rods a lot for different things. If you use a dowel rod, you can actually hold it here and saw your rings and push them up and slide your dowel rod down. It gives you some support. So cut out your multiple rings, and then we're going to go on to the next step. So we're going to use granulation today. Now, in our last project, we made very specific and increment and gradiated granulation, very precise, you know, to get the look that we needed. On this time, we're going to use a lot of random granulation, and you can put it on there however you want. It is a random, just decorative element. So this is a very, very good time to use scrap. So if you'll notice here, I've got a lot of different shapes and sizes of metal, argentium. I picked it up out of my scrap tray, and I have placed them on here, and it's going to give me just a varied granulation. Now, we will use some of my other granulation that I made, because I'm sure that this isn't going to be enough, and I do want some teeny tiny ones. I don't think that this will give me that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the scrap and we're going to make granulation. You will notice that it does take longer for the bigger pieces, but just be patient, hold your torch there, and it will ball up. This is a great use of scrap. You save every bit. I like to heat it till it's nice and shiny, and if it doesn't get nice and shiny on that first pass, then I like to go back over it until I see the surface kind of just rotate around the ball. Once I know it has that chrome look, I know that it's good and hot all the way to the core, and that it's made a nice symmetrical sphere. That was several little tiny scrap pieces together, and they drew up and attached themselves. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to let those cool, get my little basket. I'm going to put them in my little basket and quench them. And we do not need to pickle them because we didn't put flux on them. But now they're ready to design with. So next what we want to do is we want to take our little rings that we've cut and we want to put the ends together so that when we fuse them they'll be a solid ring. So now you'll just simply take your rings one at a time, take them in your pliers and twist them back closed. Rub them back and forth. Make sure the ends are together. Look at it from all sides. Make sure you've got a nice little ring. So you're going to want to work your way through all of your rings. Make sure they're all closed. Let me recommend that you do make more rings than you think you'll need. You can always use them on other projects, but it's kind of frustrating to get in the middle of a project and have to stop and make more rings. Not sure that one's together good. Nope. Double check your work. It's frustrating to get one of these on the charcoal block and then it not fuse and have to start over. Now, if you have an end that's sticking up over the other one, you can just simply pinch it like that and it will bring it down. And it will keep its circular shape. This one is a good example of that. This little side here is slightly up, so I'm going to take it in opposite directions, just give it a little bit of a pinch and bring it down. Now I've overcompensated to show you guys, but I just pinched the other one and now they're equal. You want to have an easy hand at that because you can quickly misshapen your ring. You will use a variety of sizes of jump rings on lots of projects, so never worry that you've made too many. Worst case scenario, if they're small enough, you can always heat them up for granulation. So I'm going to continue to close my rings and then we will come back for the next step. So now I have my granulation that I made here, and most of the time there will be some charcoal that sticks to it. So if you will, you can pickle it if you want to kind of remove that. But if it still sticks, after you've quenched it and rinsed it a little bit, dump it out on a towel of some sort and just take your finger and roll them around on it, and it will grind off any of that charcoal that may be left. Aren't they pretty little silver pearls? Okay, so I'm going to put them in one of these little condiment cups. I did have some other granulation. It is not the granulation that we did previously in our project. It was just some that I had made for another item. So I have tons of granulation here. So now I am laying out my rings so that I can fuse them. You will want to dip them in the flux because we are joining the ends. Anytime we're joining metal, we have to use flux. Okay, that is one round. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to fuse these and then I'll do another course of them. Start with one ring. Make sure that your flame is straight up and down and circle the ring. You will notice the same steps that it will go through as anything that we fuse. Be careful because it will melt. Once you've heated the ring, you can concentrate on the seam. Feather it in and out so that you can regulate your heat rather than melt the ring. And you will see when that seam closes up. Now I actually feel like I've got that one a little too close to the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and move him over here. You can kind of tilt your torch when you begin to focus on that flame. Feather it in and out. let them cool just a bit. Then we will put them in the basket and we will pickle them, and then we will do the rest of my rings, and then I'll get back to you.